Find you a comfortable position where you can feel strong and focused as I guide you through this meditation. If your mind drifts, just bring it back to my voice and your breathing. You can always interrupt your random thoughts with I am phrases. I am focused. I am confident. I am powerful. Time to lock in. Let's go.
Welcome to the official Heisman Trophy podcast.
Chuck Conrad with a kickoff. Roy Evans, a strong leg, end over end. Sanders takes it 1 yard deep to the end zone. Up the middle, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. He's at the 40, he's at 45, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30, 45, 40, 50, 10, 5, touchdown. Right. Just like last year, a same story. Roll out.
Here's your host, Chris Houston.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Heisman Trophy podcast. Those dulcet tones you heard to start the show were none other than 2022 Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams. Why is the current quarterback for the Chicago Bears doing meditation recordings, you might ask? Well, stick around toward the end of the show and you'll find out. In just a couple moments, I'll introduce you to the star of our show this week. I'm talking about Arkansas quarterback Taylen Green. He's 6'6", 235, a senior, transferred from Boise State, runs like a gazelle, leads the nation in total offense per game at 391 yards per. He's cranking out rushing yards at a 102 average. Leads the nation in total touchdowns with 13, 11 passing, 2 rushing. He's a heck of a player, very dynamic, and I think you'll find very soft-spoken, very nice guy. After Mr. Green, we'll bring on Ben Axelrod of AwfulAnnouncing.com. We're going to talk about the state of college football media as we continue to explore the different cultural checkpoints of college football's landscape. And then finally, we're going to close things out with Patsy Mangus, who is the director of the Caleb Cares Foundation. And she is going to explain to all of us why Caleb Williams was recording a meditation at the very beginning of the show. It's a very great and noteworthy foundation that is supported proudly by the Heisman Trophy Trust. But first, I'm going to give you my Heisman top 5 after 3 weeks. This is my opinion and my opinion alone and should not be construed as representing the opinion of the Heisman Trophy Trust. At number 5, I have Thomas Castellanos of Florida State. He's exciting, gritty, outspoken. Number 4 is Devin Dampier of Utah. I think he's the main difference between a Utah team that's just okay and one that makes the playoffs. At 3, I have Taylen Green of Arkansas, who you'll meet in a minute. He's got a terrific blend of physical ability, experience, plus he has Bobby Petrino calling the plays for him. In second is Jaden Maiava of USC, who is off to a hot start. Discount a Lincoln Riley coached quarterback in the Heisman race at your own risk. And then in first place is a quarterback who we've been talking to and about for a long time. He's got a signature win already over Michigan. The Sooners just look so much better now that John Mateer is the quarterback. Of course, who wouldn't look better with John Mateer at quarterback? It is shaping up to be a really interesting and exciting Heisman Trophy race. Let's talk to one of the emerging contenders. Take it away, Arch.
This is Archie Griffin, 1974, 1975's Heisman Trophy winner, and you're listening to the official Heisman podcast.
All right, welcome Taylen Green to the Heisman Trophy podcast.
Hello, thanks for having me.
You're coming off a tough 41-35 road loss to Mississippi this past Saturday, but look, it's a long season, plenty of football to be played. What did Coach Pittman tell you guys after the game?
To keep our head up, there's a lot of football, like you said, early in the season. We didn't start 1-0 like we wanted to in our goal, but it's a long season, and we have some great opponents coming up. So, got to put the next foot forward and just to keep going and keep striking.
There had to be a lot of encouraging things, even with the loss. You had a monster night against a pretty talented Rebel defense, 305 passing yards, 115 yards rushing. You certainly left it all out on the field. You were the first Arkansas Razorback to go for 300 and 100 in the same game. You've had a couple days now to internalize it. What do you think you're going to take away from that loss?
A lot, really. Our first SEC opener away, in a hostile environment. I feel like operations were, good. We didn't have any, false start penalties. I would say just continuing to keep my, foot on the gas. In
Yeah.
that third quarter, I blame it on myself. Kind of stalled out a little bit, but at the same time, the defense gave us some stops in the fourth quarter and in the clutch. So I'm glad of and proud of how we responded to the up and downs of a 4 quarter game, especially in the SEC.
Yeah.
But I liked how our team really stuck together in those times, especially after the game too. So
Yeah. It's got to be somewhat encouraging because you guys played against competition first couple weeks that maybe a little bit below the SEC level, but now you go up against SEC foe and you still see the offense thriving. That's got to be a little bit encouraging, right?
oh, it definitely is. Just gotta continue to stick to my rules, stick to the game plan, and just do my job and let my teammates do the rest because we got really great playmakers with receivers and running backs, and we got a great O line. I don't think I got sacked last week.
Yeah.
When they're giving me time, so I'm definitely blessed to be a quarterback for University of Arkansas.
You're in your second season, like in Arkansas, second season with Bobby Petrino. We all saw what he's done previously with Lamar Jackson, a bunch of other quarterbacks. What is it about Coach Petrino, do you think, that makes him and his system so quarterback friendly? Is the system easy to learn?
Uh, it takes a little bit of time. I wouldn't say easy, but it gets you ready for that next level, and that's why I like. And I feel like the difference is, his standard. His standard is perfection, whether it's on the practice field or meeting rooms or anywhere really.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's eating, like he's on us about our weights,
Mm-hmm.
how much we weigh in and stuff. 2 times a week. What are we eating and how we drinking
Yeah.
water and things like that. So everybody knows about his play calling, which is he's a offensive mastermind, and just his ability to communicate what he demands and what he wants out of the quarterback position really speaks volumes to me, and that's
Yeah.
what I have full trust and respect in Coach Petrino.
Yeah, you mentioned him wanting you to weigh in. Did he have a target weight for you to be have a certain level of agility and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, he wanted me from 230 to 235 just to remain healthy during the season and to be able to deliver some blows too.
Yeah. He was telling you to get ready to do a lot of running, I guess, huh?
Oh yeah, and got to do both.
Yeah. When you arrived, was there an effort to adjust the system to your talents, or did you have to adjust your style more to what his system demanded?
Really, I would say it's a little bit of both. I would say the biggest thing for me was just to adjust mentally
Mm-hmm.
um, to his playbook and his what I have to read and what I have to interpret, and to understand not just the offensive side of things but the defense, and knowing the whole defense, whether it's
Yeah.
coverages or defense alignments, D linemen and their schemes, linebacker adjustments, and things like that. So just learning not just the offense, like I said, but learning ball, learning football, and the ins and outs, and why certain concepts work versus certain coverages.
Do you think someone like Coach Petrino, who's been so successful with all these quarterbacks, do you think a lot of it is just that ability to communicate and make things clear what he's trying to get across, as opposed to maybe some other coaches out there who maybe aren't as successful? Do you think that's kind of what separates them?
Yeah, I was saying another thing is like, of course he's a coach, but when we're in meeting rooms, it feels like he's a teacher and we're the student, and
Mm-hmm.
each and every day, my notes are like this long, just learning each and every day,
Yeah.
something new, rather, and even he's on us on our footwork too,
Yeah.
and just the demands, and if we're even wrong on footwork, we have gassers out to practice.
Oh, wow. I guess that'll encourage you to get your footwork right,
Oh,
huh?
definitely, it gets us right.
What's he like during a game? Is he intense, calm?
He's definitely intense, but I really like that as a out of a offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Really, aggressive, and that's what I like.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in times of, a 2 minute or, um, he's calm too. He'll, let's go Taylen, or let's go offense. Let's
Yeah.
execute and do what we do, and
Yeah.
the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah. That last drive against Ole Miss didn't work out like he planned, but what was he telling you before that drive as you prepared to try to go down and take the lead?
He was like, "Let's go do this and let's go win this game." And he was saying that before and during the drive. So
Yeah. It looks to me like the offensive line is just playing lights out right now. It might be one of the best in the country. Tell me about those guys and what makes that unit so good.
I would say first their chemistry. They hang out literally 24/7, even off the field. They go over each other's house, eat food, just do it like anything with
Mm-hmm.
each other. And I'll say just their preparation and then how they care,
Mm-hmm.
how they practice. Like they practice full speed every single play. They might mess up once or twice, but they're not going to repeat the same mistake.
Yeah.
And like you see in the locker room, if they mess up one time, like they take it really seriously. So they take their craft like really serious, and I got to have praise to Coach Mateos and the O line, um, the GAs and the analysts that they get them boys prepared and dialed in. So they're looking good.
Yeah, and they keep you from getting tackled too much
That's
too as
always a
well.
good thing.
Yeah. You finished strong last season in the bowl game, and now you're carrying it over to this season. That's exactly what Lamar Jackson did when he emerged to win the Heisman back in 2016. It looks like you're really locked in. So when you decided to come back to Arkansas, what kind of goals did you set for yourself and for the team going into this year?
Really high goals. Coach Pitt and Coach Petrino have a standard for me and believe in me, and and I believe the same in myself, and that's why I love it. I love it here, and being coached by them. And my goals were high Heisman Trophy, SEC All American, first team All American. Being the first pick in the NFL draft, it's high, but at the same time, I believe I have the potential to do that, and I believe Coach Petrino and Coach Pitt are going to get me there, and I have great cast around me to do it, and not just myself, but the whole offense, the whole defense, and shout out
Yeah.
special teams too. So
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, you're doing exactly what you need to do as far as production. You're averaging 391 yards of offense. You're like right in that wheelhouse for what people typically look at for Heisman type quarterbacks. But one of the things that makes you really stick out is your running ability at your size. You're 6'6", 230, 235 pounds. It's a really unique skill set that you offer. It's pretty rare for someone of your size to really run the way you do, so fluid. How much did your track and field background contribute to your speed work and your running style?
a lot, really. I've been running track since I want to say like 8 years old. My parents took me to a track practice, and I loved it ever since.
Yeah.
I don't do like no long distance. I can't do no long distance. Them, sprints, 100, 200,
Yeah.
400. I don't miss that 400, but I did the 400.
Yeah.
I loved every single second of it. And, I have my fiance, she does track. So when I watch her, run track, I get flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that, and when I played basketball, just the ability, like my moves, I imagine like crossing somebody over,
Yeah.
something like that. So definitely those two sports that I played, I try to bring it to football.
Yeah. You achieved some age group state records in the long jump back in the day. How long do you think you could have jumped if you had stuck with track?
If I got coaching, I think I would have been really, really good. Honestly, I think I would have been an Olympian because I've never had any coaching at it. I had one coach. It was like for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But my coach would literally just tell me like run and jump. So
Yeah.
if I really had some like coaching, because I was getting recruited for a long jump too, coming out of high school, but I decided, I love football. I think I'd be pretty good.
Yeah. You're like you mentioned, your fiance runs track for Arkansas. I'm going to ask you about her later and your whole proposal. But now that you have a fiance who's into track, does she help you with your speed work and getting ready and the preparation, all the the details that go into track and field that carry over to football as well?
Oh yeah, actually, I went to New York. She's from New York, and worked out with her speed coach there. And he got me right on my form, and he was telling me I look like I'm carrying a football when I run. I was like, "Cause I am. I'm used to it." Uh, but no, it's really cool just to see just how she brings her perspective on track, with football, and she tells me to and her dad tells me to like my form when I'm running needs to be a little bit better.
Hmm.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you lift your knee. A lot of tall guys can't lift their knees, but you lift your knees pretty well out there. Um, you came out of Louisville, Texas, and it seems like a lot of quarterbacks these days, a lot of great ones are coming out of Texas. What was your recruiting process like, and what led you to pick Boise State out of high school?
It was a really different experience, I would say. I had COVID. I was a COVID baby.
Yeah.
I didn't have any official visits. My official visits were on Zoom. All the recruiting and all that, shut down my junior and senior year.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a little different. I decided to, go to Boise. Just the winning tradition, and
Sure.
they believed in me, and that's what I loved, and I enjoyed my 3 years in Boise. I had family there, and still have family there, and I have best friends there. But yeah, I mean, it was just a great time.
Mm-hmm. What was the adjustment like going from Texas and then to Idaho and then to Arkansas? Does being closer to home make a huge difference for you?
Young me, yes, for sure. Just going from Texas to Idaho, it was definitely a shock because it's different culture,
Sure.
just a long way from home. Got to FaceTime mom and dad.
Yeah.
Not being in person, it was kind of different, and of course, college life, but I'm glad I had great roommates and friends that are gonna be in my wedding. So I'm glad my time there, and I would say the move from to Arkansas was better because
Mm-hmm.
it's closer to home, has like a southern feel to it, and yeah.
Is it just more in your face intensity as far as the SEC setting and the walking around town, or more people picking you out and recognizing you compared to Boise?
Yeah, definitely. That's what I had to get used to. Just the social life aspect of that. Just going, even to the grocery store, and people, saying "good game" or a high five or something
Yeah.
like that. But that's what I'm glad with Coach Pitt. We have our Wednesday, weekly talks, and he always checks in to see how I'm doing, socially, spiritually, and mentally. So.
Yeah. You guys just sit down in his office and chat. Is that what you usually do?
Yeah, normally for about 30 minutes, just sit down, chat, do a Bible study. And yeah, just talk about life. Really, not a lot about football.
What's your favorite part of being in Fayetteville so far?
That's a really good question. I would say the energy that not just Fayetteville, but the whole Arkansas state, like the energy and the pride that comes with just wearing, the Razorback logo.
Mm-hmm.
Means it means a lot, not just to us because we're on the football field, but it means a lot to the fans. And there's only one Razorback, and we take a lot of pride in that.
Yeah. You mentioned getting engaged, so big congratulations on that. I saw the highlights on social media of you and your fiance Annalise. I'm curious how you came up with your proposal plan and what you did to execute it. And it looks like a lot went into it.
Yeah, I first had to call, how to call her dad, how to make sure that it was all right. I was
Yeah,
really nervous.
that's the hardest part, right?
Yeah, that's the hardest
Asking
part.
the dad. Yeah,
But I called him, then called her mom, and tried to coordinate some dates just to see when they could come down or when I was free. And I decided to do it in Dallas. It was, easier ride for me. I told her like we were just gonna go to like a formal dinner, like a friend formal dinner.
mm-hmm.
Then I just surprised her. We did like a hotel rooftop kind of vibe,
Yeah,
has some rose petals, all that. But it was really cool, really great experience, and blessed to found found my partner. So
Yeah, it looked like everything came off perfectly. Do you think she had an inkling of what was going to happen beforehand?
she said a little bit. She said her grandma like hinted a little bit. I was like, come
Uh,
on, G-Ma, come on. But it's
oh
okay.
man,
It's
when did you know you were going to propose to her? Had it been for a while?
uh, I talked to my parents about it. Well, my parents told me about like the idea before I was like even I was thinking about it, but we had like a conversation, and they love her,
Yeah,
and that's the main piece,
they said you have to lock her down, huh?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
was doing a lot of prayer about it, and yeah, I mean, yeah, I want to say December before the bowl game, I did a lot of prayer,
yeah.
and that's when I knew.
You are on the academic honor roll. What's your major?
Business entrepreneurship,
All right. Do you like the idea of going into business one day?
definitely. I have a great mentor in Mr. Frank Fletcher. He helps me in um, learning about stocks and investing and just the business world and just getting that experience. He's like in the Business Hall of Fame in
Really?
Arkansas, and he made a lot of money, and he's given me insights on what he's learned and his success and also his failures too. So that's what I'm blessed to have a relationship with him and just learning from him and of course the professors too.
Yeah, of course. What are some of the things that he's told you that really stuck with you about what to do, what not to do?
um I would say just not being too scared to take risks. There's going to be high risk, but high reward. But also, you have to be smart about it. And
Hmm.
he told me like there's going to be a lot of people, that come to me and want me to invest in their
Of course.
certain businesses. But he's like you have to do your research and you have to um, talk to him. Like he's like I can always talk to him about it and talk to my family about it and just just to be aware of that.
Do you feel you're a natural risk taker, or something you have to learn or acquire that trait?
Uh, I would say off the field, I have to learn that trait.
Yeah.
I'm more of I have to sit down and think through every single step and make the most.
Yeah.
What is it? Logistical.
Right.
Op-
You want to plan everything out, make sure everything's accounted for.
yes, for
You're a
sure.
planner.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do a quick lightning round and we'll get you out of here. What is your morning routine?
Morning routine: wake up, brush teeth, wash face, and I'm just out the door.
Yeah. Are you going right to, do you have like a place you go to get breakfast? Are you going right to a training table, going to
Right to the
meetings?
facility. We have 7 a.m. lifts, so I'm right there. When I normally eat here, I normally have like a Rice Krispie treat or a protein bar or something just to get something in my body. So
Yeah. Do you have any superstitions before a game?
um no, not really. I just normally write like a Bible. I write a Bible verse on my left arm just to whatever God puts on my heart. So
Yeah.
normally,
Do you have a favorite Bible verse?
I would say 1 Corinthians 10:31. Um, so whether you eat or drink, do it all for the glory of God.
Nice. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I don't know. I'm both. I'll
Yeah.
say I'm both. Yeah.
Depends on the situation.
Depends on the situation for
So
sure.
when would you be an extrovert? Like at a party? Are you mixing it up? Or are you over at the wall? Or is it?
Party, I'm at the wall. I'm at
Yeah.
the I would say like if I'm just out and somebody comes up to me, I'm an extrovert. I'll say hi and have a
Hmm.
conversation with them. Um, but it normally just depends.
Yeah. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
That's a really good question. I'll say wisdom. Have all the wisdom.
Nice. How do you want to be remembered?
Oh, that's a really good question. You coming with the questions today.
Well,
I would say just honestly just being a reflection of my Savior Jesus Christ, really, and to leave any place or any place better than what I found it, and just to leave an impact and making people feel better,
Yeah.
anything that they're going through. So,
What's the most difficult part about being a quarterback?
ooh, I would say knowing everything and demanding and everything that comes with it. Of course, you got to know the offense, but you have to know the defense, and you got to know the situation, and at the same time, you have to lead and bring energy to your team. So I would say doing all of that every single play, every single down.
If you could play another position for just one play, what would it be?
It has to be a position.
It could be anything, really. Let's just say anything else outside of football. If you could do one thing just one time, what would it be?
Ooh, I'll be a bowler.
A bowler.
Yeah, I'll be a bowler.
Are you a good bowler?
I wouldn't say good, but I'm solid. I'm like 200.
That's pretty solid.
200, 210. It's just solid. I wouldn't say
pretty consistent.
I wouldn't say great.
Mm-hmm. Are you a pretty competitive person?
Oh yes.
So you want to win in whatever you're doing. You're trying to compete with someone, right?
Yes.
What's a skill that you have that, or something you're good at that people don't know you're good at? Hidden talents.
Hidden talent. I would say, give me a week, and I can imitate somebody. Give me a week, though.
Do you have any imitations that you've worked on? Like, do you have like a Coach Petrino imitation or a Coach Pittman?
Oh no, we can't do that. No,
you wouldn't do that. But you do have one, right? You have it available if you needed to pull it out. You have to, right?
I do, but I don't pull it out.
Right.
Yeah,
okay. All right. If you weren't playing football, finally, what would you be doing?
If I can't play football, I'll probably play a sport, but if no sport, business really.
Yeah. And what would you go into business doing? You think you'd just be a stock guy, work in the market?
I'll probably start franchising. I'll probably franchise, own some Chick-fil-A's, McDonald's.
Nice.
Something like that, yeah.
Nice. Well, Taylen Green, thanks for sharing some time to talk with us on the Heisman Trophy podcast. You're 2-1. You got Memphis coming up. Like your coach said, it's a long season. You're off to a great start, and keep doing what you're doing. And we're going to see you in New York come December.
Oh yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That was Taylen Green. If you enjoyed that interview, especially you Arkansas fans, please like, subscribe, review, tell your family, tell your friends. If you have any questions or feedback, email us at pod@heisman.com.
Hey guys, this is Barry Sanders, the 1988 Heisman Trophy winner, and you are listening to the official Heisman Trophy podcast.
The Heisman is handed out every December, but the history of the trophy lives year-round at Heisman.com. Home to the most iconic trophy in sports, Heisman.com tells the story of all 90 of our winners and features news, bios, and statistics on all your favorite Heisman heroes. Heisman.com also highlights our Heisman humanitarians, the many charities supported by the Heisman Trust, and so much more. Make Heisman.com your first stop for all things Heisman. Since its founding in May of 2006, Awful Announcing has been an invaluable source of news and commentary related to sports media. And one of the editors of Awful Announcing is Ben Axelrod, who's a veteran of the sports media landscape, has most recently worked for NBC's Cleveland affiliate, WKYC. Prior to his time in Cleveland, he covered Ohio State football in the Big Ten, so he's a great guy to talk with about college football. And I was telling him offline earlier that one of the things we like to do on the podcast, or what we'd like to do on the podcast this year, is we are taking the temperature of all the different inputs that surround college football. And this week I wanted to talk about media and see what the state of college football media is. So Ben, thanks for coming on the Heisman Trophy podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Chris.
So how long have you worked for Awful Announcing, and what in your background has given you special insights into college football media?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been at Awful Announcing now for just over 2 years. Started right around the start of football season in 2023. And in my past life, I covered college football, covered Ohio State for a number of outlets, including Bleacher Report, Land of 10, Rivals, Scout, Buckeye Sports Bulletin, and then moved over to the NBC affiliate here in Cleveland, Ohio. So I've been working in media in some form or fashion now for about 15 years. And between my experience doing that and now covering sports media at large over the course of these last couple of years, it's definitely an exciting time in the industry, and it's definitely been fun to cover it from a different perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I noticed in a recent article you guys had on your website, you're talking about the explosion of college football coverage. More and more outlets are including college football shows. There's more podcasts coming out. From your vantage point, how would you describe the current ecosystem of college football media?
Yeah, it's definitely something that's everywhere. When I was growing up, it felt like the big four sports were the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and the NHL. And college football has obviously always been a big deal, but I think it was largely regionalized. I think now you look at the sports landscape, I think it's NFL one, college football two, and that gap is probably getting a little bit smaller. So in terms of what we cover at Awful Announcing, football season is huge for us, just like any other sports outlet. And our college football traffic definitely drives a lot of the traffic at our website. And I think you look at all of the sports media at large, you definitely see college football taking up a bigger piece of the pie. So whether that's in terms of the rights deals and what money is being spent on securing the rights or just coverage in general, I think college football is a huge part of most of these outlets' strategies and the coverage they provide as well.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think that changed? What has been responsible for this boost in coverage by media outlets for college football?
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't put too much thought into why college football has gotten bigger. I think maybe sports gambling is a part of that. I think that you just look at kind of the trickle down from the NFL. The NFL has just gotten so big, and you look at what is the sport that is closest and most connected to the NFL. It's college football, and so I think there's a lot of crossover between the two, both in terms of obviously the same sport, but also preparing for the draft and where guys went to school and their alma maters and connections. It just seems like there's and you factor in NIL now, and now college is much more professionalized. So I think that there's just a lot of natural crossover between college football and the NFL, and that's probably aided the recent surge that college football has enjoyed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely the gambling side we've talked about here on the podcast, because I feel like it kind of relates to how fantasy football seems to aid NFL ratings for sure, where you get the kind of the casual fans who have the rooting interest and because of the betting lines and the prop bets and all that kind of thing. Seems like it makes sense. But with conference realignment and media rights deals reshaping the sport, how much of college football today is being driven by the networks as opposed to the schools and the fans?
A lot of it. I think actually one of our big stories today at Awful Announcing is that ESPN's getting some backlash for College Game Day going to Miami versus Florida this weekend when, there are some better options on the table. You got Utah, Texas Tech, you've got Michigan State, USC, Ole Miss, Tulane, and then obviously Indiana versus Illinois. And you look at it and it's hard to pick it apart and think that ESPN isn't doing the ACC a solid by going down to Miami and spotlighting the Hurricanes because of their ties there. They obviously don't have a Big Ten deal at the moment, and that Utah Texas Tech game is going to be on Fox. So I think that's been a big part of all of this. I think you look at one of the big storylines in the college football media space right now, and it's kind of the battle between College Game Day on ESPN and Big Noon Kickoff on Fox. And obviously ESPN has its ties to the SEC and the ACC, and Big Noon Kickoff is a Big 10, Big 12 program. So I think that all of that, the ties to the network and the business side, it's all kind of been laid bare here over these last couple of years. And I don't know if I've just had my eye on it a little more closely since joining Awful Announcing, or if it has just become that much more apparent to the public. But it definitely seems like the networks are one of the big driving forces in all of this.
You mentioned Game Day and Big Noon Kickoff. Both of them have hired people who are kind of like from the manosphere. There's been a bit of the broification of those shows. Do you think that signals a real shift in coverage of college football, or is this just a case of these shows trying to get some low-hanging fruit for ratings?
Absolutely. I think that you look at, obviously, with ESPN adding Pat McAfee a couple of years ago, he was a very natural fit on the show. The way that his brand rose organically, and they were transitioning out of a phase where it was clear that Lee Corso was going to take on a lesser role, and then ultimately leave the show after the first episode this year. And I think Pat McAfee is kind of a natural successor, not one-to-one to replace what Lee Corso did, but he does bring that more lighthearted aspect to College Game Day. And he's really been, I think, credited with reviving a lot of the energy surrounding College Game Day. Then you move to Fox this year, adding Dave Portnoy and the connection to Barstool Sports. I think that's a natural one for Fox as well. When you look at Fox's history as a broadcast network, you look at Dave's ties to the Big Ten and obviously especially Michigan. I think that's been a natural fit for them as well. And, you said it, they're looking to appeal to a certain demographic, a demographic that shows that they are invested in college football, that they care about college football. You're catering obviously to a younger audience, which every entertainment entity is trying to do. So yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head that both of those, it's not a coincidence that both of those guys wound up on the shows that they did.
Let's talk about streaming platforms for a second. A lot of people, especially young people, have cut the cable cord. So if you want to watch a college football game, you have to watch it on a streaming platform, some kind of app or a website. But the platforms aren't bundled into one place, so you end up having to have this piecemeal approach. I think I find myself doing free trials for certain platforms where maybe there's just one game I want to watch, but I don't want to subscribe for the entire season or for more than 1 week. It just seems like we're getting into a really fragmented environment when it comes to trying to watch college football and trying to view content. Are the fans being served well by this? Is this kind of thing sustainable over the long run?
Yeah, it's definitely not something that's limited to college football, but it's something that's certainly being felt across college football. I grew up in Columbus. My ties are to Ohio State. Their game was the Peacock exclusive this week. So if I didn't have Peacock, I would have had to have signed up for another subscription to add to the many that I have. And I think that's something that these networks are starting to recognize and start to put more effort into. You saw ESPN, they launched their direct-to-consumer streaming service this year, but they also did so with a partnership with Fox, actually, of all places. And so you can kind of bundle those subscriptions, but then you're getting to a point where it looks like the traditional cable bundle, but you're doing it through different means. So, it's tough being a sports fan right now. You have a lot of options. You have more access to any game you want to watch. It's hard to find a game at any level that you don't have access to somewhere, but that access comes at a cost. And I think that's something a lot of sports fans are reconciling with right now is how do I kind of trim this tree? How do I fit this portfolio together so that I can get everything that I need at a relatively reasonable cost?
And the NIL and the transfer portal, they really dominate the headlines in college football. Are outlets over-indexing on those topics at the expense of other aspects of the sport, do you think?
I think there is room for all of it. That's how I've always kind of treated how I consume sports. I think there are definitely, I know covering college football for as long as I did, there are fans who only care about recruiting. And so it makes sense that there would be fans who subscribe to recruiting websites and are more interested in that side of it than even the games itself. And I think you look at like places like ESPN and the headlines that they typically follow. It has a lot to do with that drama. I think now that you're starting to see some of that drama, sometimes it feels more like the NBA where it's like, the off-season stuff is dominating. But I also think, that there are a lot of places where if you're only interested in the X's and O's, if you're only interested in what's happening in game day, or if you want to blend, I think there's places for that too. So I think it's kind of a pick and choose scenario for fans. But you're definitely seeing now that there's more of a drama to college football especially in the transfer portal and NIL, that you're starting to see some of those stories kind of rise to the top because they do generate a lot of traffic.
Yeah, that's true. I want to ask you a few questions about, the kind of the harder journalism, or should say more like the professional side of journalism, away from the fan sites, which can do obviously do great journalism for sure. But I'm thinking about the legacy media. What responsibility does that media have to balance, access journalism, maintaining relationships with programs, with accountability journalism, and asking hard questions? Because it seems like there's been a real dearth on the investigative side of college football journalism the past several years, and which is ironic because there is definitely some reporting going on about all the shifts, but it seems like there's a lot of targets out there potentially. There's a lot of money being swirling around in college football, and there just seems to be less information going out, less transparency, ironically, at the same time. So I'm just curious if you think that is something that's actually happening, or is there something else going on?
Yeah, it's tough. I can, again, speak to this from my experience covering Ohio State, which I think is the biggest beat in all of maybe sports, like not just college sports, but all of, including professional sports. I think the Ohio State beat is probably the biggest beat out there. And it's tough, especially in college football, because it's so regional. It's so fan driven. You get a lot of fans who just want to be told what they want to hear, or they want it from the pro perspective of the program, and the programs then have the leverage to kind of, play the access journalism game in terms of who they dole out information to, who can wind up on their bad side. And so I think college football, you look and you have On3, you have 247 now, and you have, it's driven by fan sites. And looking at pro sports, there's not, like, you don't have a lot of fan sites. You have, some fan sites here or there, but it's a lot more national coverage. College football, it's a lot of local coverage. It's a lot of regional coverage. And I think that maybe speaks to the dearth of investigative journalism that you're talking about. I mean, there is, every once in a while you'll get some sort of bombshell college football report out there from a national outlet, but it very rarely comes from a local outlet in the outlets who have the boots on the ground at those programs. And then I think another part about this is we're kind of in the wild, wild west when it comes to college football. What is a scandal anymore? Like,
right.
Like I said, I covered Ohio State, and everything that happened with Jim Tressel and the tattoo stuff would have been totally permitted in 2025. So I don't even know how you define what a college football scandal would be at this point. Obviously you can get into situations where there's illegal activity going on, but I think college football, more than any other sport, it faces that challenge of how do you do responsible journalism, and how do you do journalism that's only serving your audience.
Yeah. And then the schools themselves, they want to tell their story now, right? So they're telling their story, and they allow access. So like you said, they can pick and choose which access they want to give, but they're going to want to do the scoop themselves. I think they learned that there's no reason to give a scoop to a reporter who's going to report it the way they want. You can do the scoop, put your own spin on it, make it, amenable to the fans. I mean, can you, long term, how does that going to impact how the sport is viewed by fans and just objective people looking at what's going on?
Yeah, I think, there are some fans who are just fine with that, and they would prefer that their messages come with a tint of scarlet and gray, or maize and blue, or blue and gold if you're a Notre Dame fan. And I mean, I've always, I look at things a little more journalistically, and I've always, kind of come from that mindset. So I do kind of tilt my head at some of the stuff you see out there. But I think by and large, it's a fan driven sport. And where does it go from here? I'm not really sure. I wish I knew, but you would like to see more of that kind of hard hitting journalism, I think, embedded in the sport, because I do think it would ultimately serve everyone involved long term.
Yeah. What lessons could college football media learn from how the NBA or the NFL do it?
That's a good question. The NFL right now is just such a machine. They just embrace being a part of the conversation every day. So I think that's probably a part of it, is how do you make your calendar more 24/7? It does seem like college football kind of comes and goes with the season. And then the off season is for the, for lack of a better term, the real sickos who follow the recruiting.
Well, they used to have the recruiting has kind of gone away a bit now, right? Because of it's like bidding now, right? It's not really the same type of recruiting that it used to be. And all this stuff is opaque. So you're not really getting information with recruiting. So hasn't that gone away too as well?
And the calendar has changed. Like it used to be the season ends during bowl season. And then, you have the run up to National Signing Day. And now like, I can't even keep track of like these portal windows. And to your point, like, and you're also recruiting your own roster just as much as you're recruiting recruits in high school or recruits on other teams. So a lot of it has just kind of become like, for me, it's just too much I can't fit it into my sports like fandom following this stuff year round. It seems so exhausting. It seems like if you're going to follow it, it almost seems like the only thing you could possibly follow. So that would be the thing is how do you make this more digestible in the off season? How do you make it more, year round? But I think, I'm a big fan of the college football video game. I think that coming back has done wonders for the popularity of the sport and the way that a lot of fans engage with it. I think gambling's legalization has helped in terms of engagement. But yeah, I mean, that would be the big thing is how do you make it a more 24/7 sport?
You've covered college football and sports media for a long time. What's been the biggest change that has surprised you the most in the way college football is consumed via media?
I would say the shift we talked about earlier, where it's predominantly fan sites. It doesn't even seem like there are a lot of, I think every team or every program has their, at least the big ones has their 1 or 2, 3 major newspapers. But it's really, really fan site driven. And that's something that when I was getting in, it was like, all right, maybe you'll go right at a fan site and that will be something that propels you to a job at a more legacy institution. Now it seems like the fan sites are the destination. Now it seems like, people are leaving newspapers to start their own Substacks or fan driven type of outlets. And so the fact that there are just so many more places where you can write and that it's not those 2 or 3 newspapers on a given beat. And then the other thing is the video aspect of it all. That's at Ohio State. There's a lot of people who exclusively cover the sport on YouTube and the YouTube is their driving force. And when I was coming up, it felt like YouTube was secondary and video was secondary and it was something that supplemented your coverage. Now I know for a lot of these sites and in a lot of these outlets, it's kind of the driving force.
It's really amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, lightning round. Let's do some quick hits real quick. Favorite college football broadcaster of all time?
Ooh, I liked Keith Jackson.
Yeah, I think he's everybody's favorite. All right, most iconic college football call or moment on TV that you can think of instantly?
Most iconic call. 85 yards through the heart of the South when Ezekiel Elliott ran through Alabama in the Sugar Bowl.
Nice. That's a good one. One broadcast cliche you wish would disappear forever.
If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none.
That's a good one. Best college football stadium for atmosphere on TV, not in person.
I've never been there, but LSU just looks incredible every time I see LSU under the lights. So that's having not been there and having only seen it on TV, that would be my choice.
Which coach gives the best press conference sound bites?
I've got to go right now with Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, those seem like appointment television right now.
If you could swap jobs with any figure in sports media for a week, who would it be?
Let's go with Pat McAfee. I like the idea of being able to do College Game Day and WWE.
And we're working a tank top too on occasion, right?
Exactly.
Which fan base is the most online in a good way or a bad way?
Tennessee fans. Tennessee fans are very online. I'd say in a bad way.
Okay, what's better for storylines? Dynasty dominance or total chaos every week?
I think dynasty. I like having the dynasty. I like having that Alabama type of Darth Vader to take down.
If you weren't covering sports media, Ben, what beat would you want to cover instead?
Hollywood.
Similar veins, I think, in the end. Well, Awful Announcing, what a great website. Been around for a long time. Started out during the blog renaissance of the mid first decade of the 2000s, whatever we call that, the aughts, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's been going strong ever since. A great place to check out just any kind of media information, media news about sports, and there's all kinds of great college football content. Ben Axelrod is the editor there. Ben, how can we find out where to look at your stuff on social media as well as elsewhere?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Ben Axelrod, and find my work at Awful Announcing. And I just wanted to thank you for having me on. You've been a great resource for me throughout my career, Chris. I was looking back at some articles I wrote. I remember covering Ohio State's win over Oregon in the national title game, the first ever college football playoff, and writing about Ezekiel Elliott emerging as the front runner for the Heisman the following year, and going through your criteria and how he just checked off like every box possible. And I think I wrote similar stories probably about like JT Barrett and Cardale Jones, but I just always love the way you've approached this, and to see you doing stuff with the trophy itself has been really cool.
Well, I appreciate that. It's good to know people still remember. So Did you know that the Heisman Trophy Trust has donated more than $20 million to a huge variety of charity-based groups via its Heisman Trophy Fund for Youth Development? That's right. The fund has helped countless charitable organizations that uses sports to engage underprivileged young people in educational activities. If you are part of an organization or know of one that would like to apply for funding, visit Heisman.com and click on the charities link at the top of the site. The Caleb Cares Foundation was founded by 2022 Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams, and it is one of the many charities supported by the Heisman Trophy Trust. The director of Caleb Cares is Patsy Mangus, who has been with the organization now for almost 3 years, and she joins us today. Patsy, how's it going?
It's great. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. We love to delve into the charitable mission of the Trust. But we'd like to know today for the Caleb Cares Foundation, what is the core mission of Caleb Cares, and how do you describe it to someone hearing about it for the first time?
Well, we have 3 pillars, and there's 3 things that Caleb wanted to focus on. And the first one is talking about mental health normal. So many people shy away from it, and he talks about it, and he wants kids to talk about it because it's such a big part of living is your mental health. Mm-hmm. The second pillar is anti-bullying. We want to shine a spotlight on bullying, both cyber bullying and in-person bullying, and then youth empowerment. So we do many different things to just empower youth. And we always say we try to broaden the lens through which they see the world.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the things you do to raise awareness for these issues like cyberbullying and regular bullying?
Well, one of the first programs we started was when Caleb was at USC. We partnered with the Boys and Girls Club over in South Central LA, so he could pop over from school. It was pretty close. And they had an uptick in bullying. So we worked together and we came up with the Caleb Cares Hero Award, which is it's a really simple concept. It's a backpack with an iPad Pro in it and a Caleb poster, Think Kindness t-shirt. What else do we have? Beats. We have Beats headphones, mm-hmm. and they get a certificate. They get a framed certificate. So every month, it's consistency over time is what changes behaviors. Every month, a club member is selected for their kindness and respect, and they get the award. And they get their picture on social media, and they have their certificate. So we started that at USC, and we continued it in Washington, D.C., where Caleb went to high school at Gonzaga College High School in D.C., and we work with the Washington Jesuit Academy for Boys, 144 boys, full scholarships from all 8 wards in D.C. And we are going into our 3rd year now with the Kindness Award, and we see behaviors changing. Kids want the award. Oh, it's amazing because they think about being kind. And once they're kind, it becomes a habit, and they realize how empowering it is.
Yeah.
And then Caleb's mom, Dana, she's in Chicago. And so we've started the award in Chicago as well. And she works with a couple different organizations, After School Matters and the Chicago Jesuit Academy, mm-hmm. which is and girls. So it's a monthly award that takes on, it takes a different bent. It's not so much focused on bullying, but on kindness and respect.
You know, mental health can be so tough to talk about. How does Caleb Cares help make those conversations easier and more approachable?
You're right. It is difficult, especially in the football culture, because you're supposed to be these big tough guys, and talking about when things aren't going your way, or you don't feel as positive, or you're questioning your abilities. How do you pop back up? What is that resilience? How do you get back up there? So we are really excited to announce this pilot program that we're working on. We've been working on. We were partnering with Stanford for over 2 years, and then we kind of pivoted a little bit. But we are introducing virtual reality meditation into the classroom.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Caleb recorded 11 meditations, and it's a combo of like coaching and meditation. And it's a totally immersive experience. So the kids will pop on a VR headset, and Caleb comes up first answering a question, and it kind of eases them into the meditation process. And the topics are anywhere from the people you surround yourself with to how do you handle failure. He talks about like how he rebounds if he throws a pick and he has to get right back in the huddle and forget about it. He talks about the power of believing in yourself. So we have these themes. He answers a question so the kids see him. And then we kind of segue into a meditation where you're at the beach and he's running them through breathing, but it's not your typical, well, I don't know if there's a typical meditation there's no right or wrong meditation, but it's to calm their brain waves before they go back into school and to inspire them that they can to be themselves and do whatever they dream they can do.
Yeah. All right, now we're going to listen to a snippet of one of those meditations by Caleb Williams, 2022 Heisman Trophy winner.
Find you a comfortable position where you can feel strong and focused as I guide you through this meditation. If your mind drifts, just bring it back to my voice and your breathing. You can always interrupt your random thoughts with I am phrases. I am focused. I am confident. I am powerful. Time to lock in. Let's go.
Whew. I am pretty relaxed right now. Why is it so important to reach young people with these kind of messages about kindness, mental health, and anti-bullying, especially these days and in the environment that so many of these kids are growing up in?
Well, it's because they're growing up in an outrage society where outrage ranks in the algorithms, and that's what they're in their social media. If you go back and you look, I think Jonathan Haidt, who wrote The Anxious Generation, he correlates the uptick in anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts with social media. And there is a strong correlation. And so I think we want to be able to say to kids when they think kindness, which it helps in two different ways. One, if somebody has suicidal thoughts and you say a simple thing like, "Hi, how are you doing?" that can break their thought pattern, and it can actually change what they were thinking. And it's a simple thing. The other thing, if somebody's being bullied and somebody just takes their side or stands next to them, that can change the trajectory of their life. And it's very simple. And we try to get those messages out there. And Caleb would talk about it. He did actually a short documentary on it while he was at USC. He sat in on panels at USC to talk about mental health. And he's pretty upfront with just different ways that he handles stress and anxiety. One way, which was, I thought, really interesting, is like after a game, he likes to be by himself, and he says he's a foodie. So he will find the food places in the area and just go to some place by himself, pop on his headphones, and go eat to be on himself. But yeah, he has different strategies that he uses, and it's important for kids to know it's normal that we don't have to hide it anymore.
It's really interesting that he's not just preaching, he's practicing what he preaches as well. How involved is he personally in some of the day-to-day things? I know it's season right now, so he's pretty busy. But
Right.
what does he do in the off season, and what does it mean to him when you talk to him to have his name tied to this cause?
Well, first off, he was a rookie last year, so he had a whole new playbook that he had to learn in a new coach. And then, as people follow the Bears, they'll know their coach was let go middle of the season, and then he has a whole new coach, new playbook this year. So his window of time is often from, we say, February 15th to July 15th.
Mhm.
Let's talk to him and get as much as we can. He went and did surprise visits to schools, 3 schools, wanted no media, nothing around, and just showed up and talked about, life and what they're going through. He's a doer, and he loves being around the kids. When we when he was at USC and we'd go over to the Boys and Girls Club, we kicked off the award, the Caleb Cares Hero Award. He came, gave the first one out. He was the last one to leave the club. He was out shooting hoops with the kids, and finally we said, "Hey, Caleb, all the kids are gone." So, but what he loves being around the kids, and there's a lot that he does that people don't know. He brings over, last year I think we brought over 650 kids to home games. This year the same thing. They're in rows 1 and 2 in the end zone. We give them box lunches, t-shirts, tickets. And people don't know he's doing that. He does, and I think a lot of players will do this. They do videos, and people don't know that. He has people down on the sidelines. If there's kids that are sick or something's going on, he meets up with them.
Yeah.
There's a lot when he went back to his high school, Gonzaga in DC. There's a church on campus, and there's a homeless shelter underneath it. And that was the first thing he did, is he went to the homeless shelter and he said, no cameras. I don't want anything here. And he talked to the men. So he does a lot of things that impact mental health and empower youth. One thing that comes to mind with the Washington Jesuit Academy for Boys is how powerful his platform is, because he has not been able to get over there yet, but they know who he is. And we have him watch his press conferences. And last year, I think the Bears lost 9 or 10 in a row. It was rough. It was a rough season. But I wanted the kids, the homework, when I went and did the Hero Award, gave it out. I said, watch his press conference. I go, this is not an easy thing to do, to keep losing and to get up there and to take the blame. He took the blame right up front. Was honest, talked about how hard it is to deal with it. So he's an example to them. And I feel pretty lucky to be able to have a guy who's 23 years old. I don't know what you were doing when you were 23, but it wasn't this for me.
Not this. I wasn't even aware that other people existed at that time.
That's
I don't
right.
think. Yeah.
That's right. But this is what he's doing, and it's pretty amazing. And he is true to himself, and kids admire that. And I'm lucky that I can work with a young person that is so reliable and so respectable.
So he started the organization at DC, and then when he was at USC, he worked with kids around USC, and now he's at Chicago. I imagine he's doing a lot of initiatives in the Chicago area as well now.
He is. We're starting, because it took a minute to kind of figure out Chicago. I mean, most people know Chicago's a pretty political city. So you kind of got to get the lay of the land, but we're doing a lot. He did a welcome event, a big kickoff event in the South Side of Chicago. That was over, I think 800 people came, and it was just welcoming him. So, and now we're trying to get the Caleb Cares Hero Award. And once we run the pilot of the meditation, we're going to start scaling that up in Chicago and getting it into schools.
Yeah.
We had what was really interesting is I have a son that coaches with the Bills, and I had their sports psychologist take the VR headset and just take a look at it and get her feedback. And she had all positive feedback. So we feel really good about bringing it into the classroom and scaling it up and just trying to help kids' mental health.
That's great. I imagine having Caleb as the high-profile athlete heading, the foundation really opens a lot of doors, right? Is that something that maybe otherwise people wouldn't hear what you have to say, but when you bring in Caleb Williams, people open up to what you guys want to do? Is that has that been your experience so far?
Oh, 100%. I ran a nonprofit for teenage girls for 8 years. So not only would you have to say the name, but you'd have to then explain. And so
Mm,
now I can say, I run a nonprofit. Do you know football? Caleb Williams. Oh, yeah, yeah.
sure.
And they're all engaged. So it is an easy lift when you're working with a high profile athlete.
That's awesome. And of course, that's how the Heisman Trophy works as well, using the power of that brand to open up opportunities for other people. What do you hope kids and young adults take away from Caleb Cares that they can carry into their own schools and teams or neighborhoods?
I think we always say that, not everybody's going to be the starting quarterback in the NFL, but Caleb had this dream in the 5th grade, and he wrote down his goals and he backed it with hard work. He got up at 4:30 in the morning and he backed it with hard work and grind. And our goal is to say to kids, you can live your dream just like Caleb did. Don't think you are enough the way you are right now. Don't let people put labels on you. You can do it. You got to believe in yourself. And that's the beauty of these meditations is they back that up. That is
Hmm.
that message those kids will get every day. So they can live their dream just like him. And that's part of why we bring them to the games to say, look it, this is what he said back in 5th grade, what he wanted to do. You can do it too.
That's so exciting. What would you love to see Caleb Cares grow into?
Well, it's kind of up to Caleb as he runs it, and as he gets older, he may change what he wants to do.
Hmm.
Um, but what I hope we continue to do is this virtual reality meditation because I think it's really powerful because
Mm,
he can be in the kids. The kids can actually see him, and it feels like he's there when he can't be,
yeah.
and he can inspire and empower a lot of kids just through his words, and then how he lives. His actions are all he lives what he preaches, and he's such a good kid. He really is. I don't know that he always gets the best rap. He paints his nails, but he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't womanize. He paints his nails because his mom was a nail tech when he was little, and that's what they did together.
Hmm.
And that's kind of cool. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I hope kids learn to believe in themselves, and then through watching him, actually his journey right now, they're 0-2. It's resilience. Not
Hmm.
everything's going to go your way. You got to figure out a way to come together and win, and they can witness that because I believe he's gonna. This is just the very beginning, and
Yeah.
it's only 2 games
Right.
in.
It's easy to do things when things are easy and things are going well. It's when you have to go through adversity that shows the true character, right?
Exactly, and that was part of that homework. Is what this is? Watch. This isn't easy. What he's doing,
Yeah,
and he's being cyberbullied every day by not
sure.
only like on national TV, but I don't know if you'd call that cyberbullying on TV, but it through
All the clips, all the memes, all the writing. It's just it's everyone goes to the grinder these days if you're a public persona, and it's people trying to capitalize upon the things you do to get clicks and get attention for themselves, right?
that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. And they say, if I heard the example that if two people went to the same party and one came out and posted what a great fun party it was, that would not get many clicks. If the other one came out and said all this negative stuff, it would rise to the top.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what he's getting. And he's smart enough to know that's what he bought into.
Hmm.
Um, but nonetheless, I mean, he's human. He's human.
Sure.
But yeah.
Well, Patsy Mangus, this is a great interview talking about Caleb Cares. We really appreciate all the work you do. It's such a fantastic organization. Tell our listeners how they can get involved to either help out financially or to get involved with their personal time.
Yeah, we would love people to get involved. It's calebcares.org. Or they can feel free to email me. I'm pmangas, MANGAS, at calebcares.org.
Say, everyone out there, this is such an important topic that Caleb and Patsy are dealing with that affects so many young kids. Algorithmic social media is just this scourge that is really tearing through the mental health of our youth. So this is such a worthy cause that you guys are doing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on to be able to talk about what we're up to. We're really proud of everything we've been doing and hope to keep moving forward and impacting kids.
This was a fun episode. Got to talk to one of the rising stars in college football, Taylen Green. Thanks to the Arkansas Sports Information staff for setting that one up. Thanks to Ben Axelrod over at awfulannouncing.com. So much great information and breaking news over there. Thanks to Patsy Mangas and Caleb Cares. Thank you, Caleb. Thank you for that wonderful meditation. See you guys next week. The Heisman Trophy podcast streams every Wednesday during the college football season and is hosted, produced, edited, and engineered by Chris Houston. The pod is available on all streaming networks, including Spotify and Apple Music, and features video interviews and bonus content on YouTube and TikTok. We also have a Reddit community. Special shout out to Isaac Lowenkron, and big thanks to Rob Whalen, Tim Henning, and the Heisman Trust for their support. Reach out to us via email at pod@heisman.com for feedback and commentary.